to 8 scored against them.
Yeah, they've had 75 points scored against them in the last 4 games.
I mean, a match of the day used to be a reward for consistency and for winning.
Yeah, I think, I didn't think of it before, but when you mentioned, Peter, the fact that you're a supporter of the theory that the interstate fixture should have been on at the weekend,
yeah,
and bang all the rest of the games on the following weekend, make that your split. I think that's got a lot of merit because you've got a selection of a lot of very, very good games. You've got our game with the Raiders, the Balmain game with the Raiders, and the State of Origin should have been good enough fare for everyone's diet for a game for a weekend fixture.
Well, I'll bring up these points. I think St George and Manly are hardest done by it. I'll tell you why.
Yep.
St George have got 3 players, Coyne, Walford and Fullerton Smith in State of Origin.
Right.
Now, they play tomorrow without those 3 players against the Newcastle side that's got 1 in Michael Hagan. Now, there are clubs that haven't got anywhere near 3 representatives that are playing the following weekend, that are getting the respite from playing this weekend. Manly, second with Balmain with 4 representatives to Canberra, who have 8. Canberra have got 8 representatives. Manly and Balmain have 4. I think by virtue of that fact...
When's Manly play?
Manly play Friday night, 2 days after State of Origin.
Oh, that's a bit tough.
I think it's too tough.
These days you don't want to line up 2 days after you've played, do you?
You know, I don't think that's fair. I think they should have been
even anyway.
Exactly right. They should have been on the Saturday or on the Sunday, and it is a match against Canterbury, which would draw very, very well. Clarko, what do you think of that?
It just backs up exactly what you've been preaching and what Ray Warren said this morning on his show. Let's have State of Origin on a weekend, no other football.
But you know why they won't do that?
Why?
Because of the
Television
ratings,
commitments.
television ratings on Wednesday night. So
That's
television is indeed with their $50 million running the game.
Yeah, well, that's a shame because you could really pack them into that stadium out there if you had well, they're going to pack in anyway, aren't they? They're going to.
It's sold out here, sold out in Melbourne.
Troop along and watch it, but it'd have been a good weekend fixture, and it would have paid a little more credence to the importance of the Winfield Cup. That's a bit tough on Manly having to line up with 4 of their blokes, O'Connor, Roberts, Tooby and Bella, lining up 2 days after they played a State of Origin.
And they are playing Canterbury,
who have got 1 representative in Gillespie.
Yeah.
I think the New South Wales Rugby League could have looked at that.
See, 4 of them could be limping. They might even be out.
They could even be out, and then they've got a Friday night game that loses its value.
Yeah.
And yet they may be able to back up on the Sunday. I really think that's been hard done to by. I know the league, we're in a tight situation, but I still think they could have done a better job on that. Greg, what do you think?
Yes, Peter, the only problem with that is we know exactly what's going on when the season starts. We know these midweek matches, the State of Origin, are going to be on Wednesday nights. Quite possibly we should have been whinging about this very early. It still wouldn't have changed.
Okay, how far do we go with television? Do we say that television dictates that the State of Origin's on Wednesday?
After commercials, we blow a whistle and say, just hold that, play the ball, sport. We're going to have a commercial.
Exactly right. And then Friday night again, it's affecting the Winfield Cup.
Yep.
How far do we go to bend over for television commitments?
Well, obviously we go
Why
a long
not
way
scrap?
because that's what it's all about as far as they're concerned.
Why not scrap Friday night football on the night after State of Origin so no side has to back up?
Well, I don't disagree with that either, but again, the TV commitments are there and they've committed themselves to a total season of Friday night football.
Why not have State of Origin on the weekend? Pick out the least affected side on that
play
weekend.
The next day.
Let them play the Sunday game and play the second least affected game on the Friday night. They've got their 3 games for the weekend.
And the game should be decided. The game should be decided on the least number of State of Origin players.
Yeah.
So if you've got any more than 2, you shouldn't be asked to back up. It's unfair on St George, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're without 3 players, and they get no advantage for having those 3 players in.
Maybe
Where
it's
other
something
clubs,
they can look at for next year.
Brisbane have got 3 players in, Shearer, Langer and Walters.
Yep.
And yet they play the Sunday week.
Yeah, well, I think we've been saying this for, since Adam was a boy, really, Greg.
Well, that's the point I'm making, Alan.
The other
we
thing,
whinge about it when it comes around mid-season like we are now, and with every right. But having said that, it's not going to change a darn thing. But if we whinge about it enough this year, what Zorba's saying, possibly they can look at playing these games on that weekend in those split rounds. For God's sake, they're there.
Well, I think the club secretaries at their next meeting should very, very seriously look at this.
Yeah.
And they're the ones to. It's not us. It's not for us to do it.
We can highlight the fact.
We highlight the fact, as you said, and rightly so.
There's
but I
another.
think I'm sorry,
Alan, go on.
I think the club secretary should bring it up, and if they're smart, they'll just say, well, why can't we do this, this, and this? And I think, with enough persuasion there, the league could go along with it.
There's another thing too here now. With only 3 days rest, Balmain with 4 are going to line up and play in a very important match against Canberra with 8. Now, what if 8 of them are walking wounded, 4 of them are walking wounded, but a week's rest would have made them okay?
Yeah.
What kind of a fixture does it become?
Ordinary.
A vital game becomes a bit of a non-event.
Yeah, and it should be one of the games of the year.
Yep, should be.
With 8 in from Canberra and 4 in from Balmain, but yep, as Warren said, a few days after State of Origin, it could be like Gallipoli all over again.
That's right. There could be 12 players out of that fixture, you know, or way less than their best with only 3 days spell.
Okay, interesting comments there, and I hope that some notice is taken at the New South Wales Rugby League. We'll take a break out of Campbelltown Sports Stadium, just repeating, in reserve grade this afternoon, Western Suburbs 30 beat South Sydney 24, and in President's Cup, Western Suburbs 16 beat South Sydney 8. We'll take a break and then we'll link up with, of course, Auto Village Holden, Tooheys, Liquor Stop and LJ Hooker for the Rugby League Match of the Day on Sydney's #1 footy station, 2GB News Talk 873.
With more than 85 years' experience in providing a vast array of services to industry, it's hardly surprising O'Donnell Griffin is Australia's premier electrical and fire protection contractor. From minor repairs to electric motors, pumps and welding equipment, to total fire alarm and sprinkler installations, O'Donnell Griffin has an unmatched professional record. That's O'Donnell Griffin, the performance, service and complete capability your company needs.
You should shop at the Liquor Stop.
Sydney's biggest variety and best prices. That's the promise from Liquor Stop. Save with Berry 5-litre wine casks, $7.99, Samuel Port, $8.99, Seppels. Gold Label Cabernet, Rhine Riesling and Chardonnay, great value at $7.99. Chateau Napoleon Brandy, $17.99. Just check the yellow pages for your nearest Liquor Stop outlet. Stop, shop and save at your local Liquor Stop store.
Time for an AFL update from Melbourne. 5 games being played in round 6 down there, and Essendon with their 4th goal have just taken a 2-point lead over Collingwood. It's a very tight game in front of around about 65,000 down there. Essendon 4-5-29 lead Collingwood 4-3-27. At Waverley, Footscray 7 goals 143 in front of Fitzroy 2 goals 6-18. At Moorabbin, Dunstall's kicked 2 for Hawthorn, Lockett only 1 for St Kilda. The Hawks well in command, 8 goals 9-57 versus St Kilda 6 goals 3-39. At Princes Park, North Melbourne just by 5 points, North 6-9-45 in front of Carlton 6 goals 4-40. And finally, down at Cardinia Park, it's the Geelong Cats by 6 goals. Yes, Geelong 10 goals 3-63 lead the Brisbane Bears 4-3-27. AFL Premiership footy on 2GB's World of Football.
Feel the rugby league action with Hollywood and Zorba, only on 2GB.
There is a place you can really score a fantastic new or used car bargain. That's Auto Village Holden, Cabramatta. See Auto Village Holden for the entire Holden range, including the gutsy V8 Commodores, Nova, Apollo and Rodeo, the most powerful commercial vehicle in its class. All backed by exceptional service and spare parts. Auto Village Holden, the biggest used car Holden dealer in Sydney and your key to quality. They're the winning team at 266 Hume Highway, Cabramatta.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
Whether you're buying or selling, talk to LJ Hooker.
Nobody does it better. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
What makes New South Wales fast bowler Michael Whitney feel good?
Bowling Viv Richards, second bowler, that makes me feel great. I feel good. Wow. Fielding in front of the hill at the SCG, now that is a great feeling. But I'll tell you what feels really good, having a Tooheys draft, a cold one, straight after the game.
Tooheys draft. Real taste, real beer.
That feels good.
This winter, you could buy a heater quite unlike any other. But it's not just the many colours or styles that make this heater different, or that it's safe, clean and easy to use. And it's not just the fact that it's up to 3 times more energy efficient than any other heater. What really makes this heater different is that it also keeps you cool in summer. Reverse cycle air conditioning.
For more information, call the Sydney County Council helpline on Sydney 269 2255.
Pearce turns to try and get away, but he's taken once again over the top that time by Glanville and Jumpney back now to Roach charging forward. Was going to hold it up to see if he had anyone coming through. Johnny Elias was there, but he couldn't slip his pass away. Ben Elias at Dummies from the back of the rugby through the gap. He takes off. Freeman's got the ball. He just stands. Marty Krieger up, and then
He's very dangerous. There's no doubt about that, and he'd be aware of the form. He needs to lift his form, as does the whole team. I do think they are a bit too young across the board. I might be opening my mouth only to put my foot in it, but West look an awfully young side, don't they, in that back line?
Yeah, they do. That's a very, very young back line. But,
Well,
we
so's the other side when you
how
consider
about South? There's
The
not
other
that
mob
much
doesn't actually
experience.
drip with experience,
No,
does it?
Steve O'Day, Manoa Thompson's a kid. Charlie Sharp came up out of President's Cup last year. Adam O'Neill, he's only been around a couple of years, but he came up very young. I mean, there's
I
not
like
a great
Charlie
wealth
at
of
5'8".
experiences in
Don't
there.
you?
Yeah, I do.
I
I think
like
Charlie
Charlie at
Sharp
5'8".
Should
should
so
be
do
a
I.
5'8".
But being where he is, Peter, and looking at the ages of some of those fellas, okay,
Yeah, but
you
at
get
least
down to
Charlie
Ellison and
Sharp's
Blake.
played in a grand final
Yeah.
in President's Cup football, which is a bit more experience and to prepare him for a game of football than playing schoolboy last year.
Well, I've got a bit of time for Mark Ellison too. He's
He's a
quite
clever
an experienced player,
Yes, he is.
and I think he's going to have a good influence on the Blakes outside him. And I do think you'll see them play good field position because he has a very good kicking game.
There he has. Maven in the forwards is a gamble.
Well, yes, it's obviously George has seen something there, trying to get him closer to the action, I suppose. He can run the football and, defensively it'll be interesting to see how he handles it because there'll be plenty more at lock than there would be out in the centres. But, if he has a good game, he can be a very good player.
But his level of tolerance is a bit to be desired too, mate, isn't it? I mean, in terms of someone putting it on, I know he's got a lot of control.
Mate, he
but
won't put it
plays
on
with
there
a
with
lot
the
of
forwards. They're a
discipline.
bit bigger.
Well, that's exactly right, but you never know with him.
Yeah, okay. Warren,
Plenty of spirit.
Mario Fennick needs a strong game, doesn't he?
Well, he does. He'd be a bit upset that he'd been totally overlooked in representative football. But once again, he's probably a victim of the side's form.
I've had a look at the videos the last couple of weeks. He's not playing that poorly, Mario. If anyone's leading the way, he's probably been the best player for them, I believe.
Okay, well, we're coming up to the 2 o'clock Macquarie National News. We'll take a break, update the news, and then be back taking calls on the open line and breaking all the stories in rugby league with all the interviews that you want to hear on 2GB's World of Football, brought to you by Hangover Helper and Advanced Shutters. And we have a winner to our quiz today, a Jim Bolus from Randwick, I think, has won our prize, and he's a Canberra supporter living in the eastern suburbs. We'll be back shortly.
This is the home of rugby league in New South Wales, Grace Brothers. Grace Brothers Rugby League shops have got everything you want, like new season's merchandise, jerseys, shorts, sweats and pants, lots of official New South Wales Rugby League gear. Oh, and of course, footballs. So, if you're into rugby league, get into Grace Brothers now. Rugby league shops, selected Grace Brothers stores only. Oh, it feels good.
Greg Hartley here, once again talking to John Smile from Family Boats. Smilesy, how are things shaping up for the big boat auction on Sunday, May 6?
It's full steam ahead, Greg. We have over 100 lots to offer, half cabins, runabouts, new and second-hand inflatables, signature performance craft, Savage aluminium boats, and loads more.
Is it just boats, John?
No, Greg, there's motors as well and a fabulous range of boating accessories.
Don't miss the big boat auction at Family Boats 7 Hills from 11 a.m. this Sunday.
Call me for details on 622 0222.
This is your rugby league station, 2GB News Talk 873.
News Talk 873, Macquarie National News.
It's 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Gooder. The parents of 2 boys killed in a sand collapse at Noosa Heads in Queensland are being treated for shock. The children, both believed to be 13-year-olds, were asphyxiated when the roof of a tunnel they were playing in collapsed. The tragedy happened around 8:30 this morning at the local sand quarry. Sergeant Peter O'Reilly from Noosa Police says 3 of the victims' friends managed to escape and raised the alarm.
It would appear that there was 5 children playing at a sand pit, and there was a cave in, and 2 of them got caught in it and got buried in several ton of virgin sand, and they were deceased when we finally got them out.
Meantime, a child has had a lucky escape after being swept away by currents in the Nepean River west of Sydney. It's believed the boy had been swimming near the Penrith Weir when he was swept over. The section of the river has been the scene of a number of deaths because of treacherous currents. Police, ambulance and the Care Flight rescue helicopter were called in and the boy was found downstream clinging to a tree. He's been winched to safety by the rescue chopper and is believed to have suffered little more than a nasty scare. 2 fishermen have been rescued off Caloundra, north of Brisbane, after their dinghy was crushed by a ship. Police say the pair had just baited their hooks after dropping anchor early this morning when they saw the ship approaching. The spokesman says the men saw a big black shadow but had no time to start the motor. They jumped as the ship neared, and seconds later their boat was crushed. Another boat later picked them up after they swam to a buoy. Several towns along the New South Wales south coast have been shaken by a small earthquake overnight. The Bureau of Mineral Resources says the earthquake, measuring about 3.3 on the Richter scale, hit at around 5 past 10 and had a radius of about 160 kilometres. There have been no reports of injuries or damage. A senior NATO official says the alliance might agree to scrap all its short-range missiles in Europe in talks with Moscow expected to start next year. The official also says the alliance might withdraw some nuclear artillery shells from Europe. The 16 members of NATO have agreed to drop plans to modernise Lance missiles and nuclear artillery, mostly based in West Germany. 3 days of talks have ended in Cape Town between representatives of the African National Congress and the white minority government of South Africa. The BBC's Mike Woolridge reports.
The government has made the major concession so far, in particular agreeing to a mechanism for the release of political prisoners and that the issue will be dealt with urgently. The working group has been set the target of completing its task in under 3 weeks. The government has extracted from the ANC agreement to the establishment of channels of communication to curb violence and intimidation from whatever quarter, as the communique puts it, and potentially the biggest concession of all. Mr. Mandela told the news conference, "We will look into the question of armed struggle and take appropriate decisions." Pressed on this, he said the organisation would look at the issue very hard and earnestly in the light of the agreement reached here in Cape Town.
This is Macquarie National News. Updating sport, Bill Fisher.
Western Suburbs League captain Ivan Henjak says the Magpies will have to ignore South Sydney's early season form when they meet in the match of the day at Campbelltown. The Rabbitohs, minor premiers last season, have been struggling this year and have been on the receiving end of some big losses. Henjak believes on form West should win, but he's wary.
Well, yeah, they're also a team that you keep thinking are going to come good all of a sudden. You know, their backs are to the wall at the moment, and we're very desperate for a win at the same time. I think it's going to be a very tough game, both sides with a lot of injuries, and you know, we've got Bobby Lindner away as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough match.
Parramatta League captain Peter Sterling has almost resigned to the fact that he'll need plaster on a foot injury. He played with the injury in last night's 16-12 win over Illawarra, but intends taking advantage of a 2-week rest because of the split round to get the foot right. Sterling says his foot still is fairly sore after playing last night.
It's not in plaster as yet. The doctors are just going to have a look at it over the next 24 hours or so just to see how it pulls up from last night. So I think it probably will be put in. It's a bit sore, but remains to be seen.
South Korea has escaped with a 1-0 win over Canada in their Women's Hockey World Cup match in Sydney. The Koreans, coming back after the surprise loss to New Zealand, have scored late in the first half and have hung on to win 1-0. In the day's second match out at the State Sports Centre, defending champion the Netherlands proving too strong for the Kiwis today. The Dutch out in front 2-0. Tony Longhurst has held off a challenge from Dick Johnson to secure pole position for tomorrow's 5th round of the Australian Touring Car Championship at Lakeside. Longhurst has nudged out Johnson by 0.05 of a second, with Alan Jones third on the grid. Mark Scaife breaks the dominance of the Sierras, grabbing 5th spot in his Skyline, and Commodore driver Larry Perkins is 6th. And the Sydney NEC Kings meet Adelaide tonight in a National Basketball League game down at the Entertainment Centre. The Kings are desperate for a win to end their poor form at home. The highlight match this weekend should be down in Wollongong, where Illawarra plays North Melbourne.
It's 2:05. Mike Bailey, Sydney weather. Mike says warm, mainly sunny days with light to moderate northwest to northeasterly winds ahead of a brief southerly change tomorrow morning. Cold night, some early morning fog. The further outlook, the Bureau reports for Monday through to Wednesday, fine conditions and temperatures in the mid to high 20s. It's 26 degrees at the moment, that's 7 above average. Humidity at 35% and the winds from the west-northwest at 10 kilometres per hour. The boating weather forecast for Sydney coastal waters, Broken Bay to Port Hacking and 60 nautical miles seaward. The wind variable up to 15 knots, the sea up to 1 metre and the swell to 1 metre. It's 2:06. There'll be more Macquarie National News after the football.
Rugby League, the greatest game of all. And again this year, 2GB brings you the greatest prize of all, the Mad Barry's Player of the Series. The Players' Prize is a fabulous signature boat, trailer and outboard package from Family Boats. And the Listeners' Prize is a brand new VN Commodore from Auto Village Holden. The total value is over $54,000. Tune into the world of football with Hollywood and Zorba for your chance to win. The Mad Barry's Player of the Series for the Family Boats Group and Auto Village Holden on 2GB News Talk 873.
This winter, you could buy a heater quite unlike any other. But it's not just the many colours or styles that make this heater different, or that it's safe, clean and easy to use. And it's not just the fact that it's up to 3 times more energy efficient than any other heater. What really makes this heater different is that it also keeps you cool in summer. Reverse cycle air conditioning.
For more information, call the Sydney County Council helpline on Sydney 269 2255.
Being out of the office needn't mean you're out of touch with your business, thanks to the Delegate cellular phone from Mitsubishi Electric. The sleek, light Delegate will travel with you everywhere as a convenient portable, a hands-free car phone, or both. The constant refining and updating of communications technology by Mitsubishi Electric is reflected in the Delegate, which combines the special features you expect in a compact cellular phone. When you're on the move, make the move to excellence. Mitsubishi Electric.
1 hour to kick off. You're listening to the world of football on Sydney's #1 league station, 2GB News Talk 873. Now it's back to the boys.
Welcome back to Campbelltown Sports Centre, and at half-time in a very good reserve grade game, it's South Sydney leading by 16 points to 10. 16 points to 10 in a very enterprising game, and we'll take the opportunity, and it's a great atmosphere here at Campbelltown Sports Stadium this afternoon. Arthur Beetson, the Queensland coach, is here in our 2GB box, and then the New South Wales coach, Jack Gibson, walked in. Jack looked at Arthur, and Arthur said, "My worst nightmare has just walked in." Arthur, should be a tremendous game on Wednesday, and you must be looking forward to it very much.
Oh, we certainly are, Zorba. We've trained the house down once again.
You've trained the house down once again? What about this fellow here with in the blue corner, Jack Gibson? I think, Jack, how's your side been training?
But pretty good, Rastus.
Who's been winning the... Rastus. Who has been winning the
card game?
Wait
till they get up to Queensland. I'll bring them down from Cherbourg everywhere.
Who's been winning the cards lately, you or Arthur?
Well, Beetson's got me. The last 2 tries,
He got you in Melbourne, interstate, so he got you travelling there.
Yeah.
And he's got you since.
Yeah, Jack's very worried about that.
We did a commercial about playing cards, and we had a game after the commercial, and he got me there.
He got you there, but he's not. Is he going to get you on Wednesday night?
Is he going to the game?
I think
he's
he'll
a long
turn
distance
up.
coach. His team's up there don't know what to do, and he's down here.
He's got his maroon tie on this afternoon, which everyone will see on ABC. Good, should go well with that green coat, don't you think?
The one with the soup in it.
The one with the soup on it.
Someone just asked me there to move the other day. Couldn't see the game.
Arthur, that tremendous family spirit that you've had in that Queensland side, is it still there?
Mate, it's still very much there. We're very fortunate. We've had blokes like Mal and Wally there from the start. We've had blokes like Fatty, Gary Belch, and we've had guys there for a long time. And also we're very fortunate that we've had Tosser Turner at the helm. All but apart from one game, Toss has been in our corner all that time, and you couldn't wish for a better manager. So we're very fortunate in that area.
Is that maroon jumper, I mean, is that a load of garbage, or do players in Queensland respect that jersey that much that they grow an extra leg? I mean,
look, Jack's over there. I've got.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to ask Jack the same question.
No, I think there's something to it. I believe that. Well, regardless of what a lot of people think, I believe that we want to win more. It gets down to probably the way we're brought up. I think we're hungrier for $1. There's no doubt about that, and
I agree with that.
I think it's something that's inbuilt, going a long way back from our roots.
Well, if maroon does it, I might put maroon underpants on my team. If the colour's got anything to do with their performance, it'd amaze me. I think they're they're a talented side and as individuals. And I don't think anybody has just walked into that Queensland side. To make that team, they've certainly had a lot of fine performances behind them.
Jack, last year's State of Origin series, they played magnificent football. I had a look at the tape of the third game the other night, and they just had so much flair. Do you feel as though you've got more of that this time in this side than you had, say, maybe 12 months ago? Because players like Clyde are a year older, and they're going to show the benefit of that this time around.
Well, that will make a tremendous difference. The experience they've had in some cases playing for Australia and the others going through the playoffs and the grand final win, that'll certainly is a great attraction to any individual to enhance his performance.
Jack,
I was going to say something else, but I forgot it.
just looking at it, and everybody says it, one of the big pluses that seems in the New South Wales side at the moment is the combination of players from the clubs. You've got the Canberra back row, the Balmain blokes up front. That must be a plus going in with the fact that they played a lot of football together already. That it gives you a solid foundation from the word go.
Peter, really I feel that's how the dice fell. That was taken into consideration, but it wasn't on top of the list. I think the individual performance was on top of the list, and as luck happened, that's the way it happened. But it certainly, there's not a doubt that it helps. There's not a doubt that back three played well and trained well, and they've got to be a greater, I can't think of a word for it, but they're going to help. They're going to help each other, and they're a tougher team to play against. And the reason we got beat, to me, is very simple. The Queensland side beat it, apart from the coaching, was that their offence was too good for our defence. And I just got to leave it at that, because we did have the opportunity to score a few tries, and they're certainly their tackling too was great. They had a great, it was a great performance, and you can't keep wrapping Queensland performance and say that New South Wales didn't do much, because then you're going to say they didn't beat anybody, Queensland. We still don't know if they're any good or not.
Arthur, do you think
they beat a pretty fair side?
Arthur, do you think this is going to be a tougher series this year to win?
Well, I believe that's so too, but you can turn around, you can rate, all the experts are rating players, but there's a couple of tangibles you can't rate, and that's how blokes are going to react on the night, under pressure, and also that will to win. And to me, that's the most important thing. Like over the years, we've had Queensland sides that don't rate to the New South Wales sides, but the most important factor, as I said, when you get into the night, like what's done on the football paddock. It's not what Jack and I, to a certain extent, do on the training paddock. It's going to help to a lesser degree, but, mate, how much they want to win in a big match like this.
It all comes back to the players, doesn't it? I mean, you guys are very, very relaxed, and obviously players don't want to see a nervous coach. And you're both very relaxed, and that should come through into your teams. Jack?
Well, I'd hope so. We might get them over-relaxed and they'd drift off to sleep.
Warren?
Yeah, Arthur, we were just speaking earlier off here. Do you think this year that this New South Wales side's got a little bit more attraction in as far as their attacking flair goes?
Well, if you read the papers, they certainly have. But I watched the game last week, and as
that's
Peter
the City
said,
Country.
The City Country match, and the combinations are certainly going to help. You've got Cronulla, even though Eddinghausen now is at fullback, but you've also got Ricky Stewart, Bradley Clyde, and Laurie Daly in the half 5'8" combination, lock 5'8" combination. They've got plenty there to offer, there's no doubt about it. As one would think there's more flair there, but I get back to how you rate a player. As I said, you can't really rate, there's a couple of tangibles there, you just can't rate how they're going to go out there, how they're going to react to that pressure, because it is a big match game. It's the biggest game as far as I'm concerned. You can discard your Australian games, probably even your grand final game. It's a tougher game than the grand final.
Yeah, I sort of had blokes like Benny Elias in mind. That he wasn't in last year. Benny Elias didn't play. I think we probably lacked a little bit of organisation around the scrum base that we should have this time. Given that it's a big pressure game. Jack, do you see that we've got some possibilities there this year that weren't there for you last year? Like Big Roberts, he can unload a ball. Roachy, there's a few things there for you this year. I don't think you had them last year in the first game, at least.
Well, we did have Benny in the first game. He played and he was selected for the third game, but he was sick or broke down. I heard something.
His thumb, yeah.
But certainly Roberts, I'm a great fan of Roberts, and I think so is Arthur, and so is anybody that plays with him or against him. He's got to be a good attraction, because he'll go up on every play. He doesn't work out how important it is.
It
He's
should be
just there.
It should be a monumental struggle. David Manson, the referee, Arthur, you know more about him than we know him here.
Well, I don't know a great deal about him. I watched him a couple of weeks ago and he came
It's
up
not
with-
true that you played golf with him this week?
Mate, I didn't get the opportunity.
I heard you give him a rundown, haven't
Is Coxie listening? No. He's going to have a few rules that probably we don't know about.
What do you mean we don't know about?
Well, I
I
haven't
bet
got
Queensland
much
will know
chance.
about them.
You're going to find out first, Artie.
No,
You're
well,
just wrapping that man. He just said he knew everything.
It'll be interesting to see what he does with scrum feeds. I mean, our referees are letting them go.
Well,
now,
that's-
is he going to? And I think that both you guys should be told before the game if he's going to penalise for second row feeds. Well, it's going to be the first time it's happened, this year. But he may be playing under that rule.
Well, I think all he basically wants, I think, that the ball be rolled into the scrum. I think you'll find.
So who puts it in should win it. Are you happy with
Well,
that,
we're
Jack?
hoping so.
I'll go that way.
You go that way. You happy
I'm
with
hoping
that?
that'll happen.
Yeah, I think for the spectators it should.
I think most supporters will be hoping that way. That most referees see the rule that way.
Okay, fellas, thanks very much. I know you've got other commitments with the media today. You with ABC, Arthur, and you, Jack, with TUE. We appreciate it very much. You just coming in off the cuff, and good luck to both of you next Wednesday night.
Next time, can I have a couple of Queenslanders on the panel?
Thanks, Jack.
This was all one-way traffic, Jack.
Okay, we'll take a break. Arthur Beetson and Jack Gibson.
Other games, Essendon have taken the early lead. They're 2-2-14 leading Collingwood, one behind. That's an AFL update on 2GB's World of Football.
On 2GB, News Talk 873. This is the World of Football. Here's Zorba.
Welcome back to Campbelltown Sports Stadium. It's South Sydney 18 leading Western Suburbs 10 in reserve grade with around about 30 minutes left for play. 16-8 Western Suburbs beat South Sydney in the President's Cup this afternoon. And World of Football brought to you by the Hangover Helper and Advanced Shutters. Peter Sterling, you've got some other commitments this afternoon. Let's just get your look at this game this afternoon, at Campbelltown Sports Stadium, South Sydney and West.
Well, I don't see a great deal in it. Both sides obviously are on the wrong end of the premiership ladder at the moment. I, like everybody else, is waiting for South Sydney to do something. It just seems unbelievable that they can be languishing on the bottom of the table after the sort of the season they had last year. Who knows? Today may be the day. Western Suburbs very tough on their own home ground, and their form has been very good. They were not unlucky last week, I suppose, but they certainly fought back into the match very well against the Penrith side, and I remember that they gave us a hiding out here only a few weeks ago. So they're probably in the better form of the two sides. But I just have a look through, and you look at Phil Blake, you look at Mario Fennick in the side, Charlie Saab, Bruce Longbottom. There's plenty of potency there, and one of these days it's going to click. Maybe today. I'm tipping it'll be today, but not with a great deal of confidence.
Okay then, and your early thoughts for Wednesday night?
Well, it's going to be a very tough game of football. I know that's a cliche, but that's exactly what it's going to be. And, I believe that once again it'll be the side that is better defensively will win the football game. Both teams are very well served in that department. I particularly like the back row of New South Wales. I think Gillespie is in fine form. Bruce Maguire has played well all season and has continued the kind of form he showed last year. And obviously Brad Clyde is continuing his meteoric rise, and I think that they've got an edge in the back row there. If they can be good defensively and really close down the Queensland side, I think that we're finally going to break this run of outs, and if we won't go 9 down, we'll finally win one.
Okay then, Sterlo, good luck this afternoon. Thanks very much for being with us this
Thank
afternoon.
you, and enjoy the call, Savo.
Okay, Peter Sterling there on 2GB's World of Football. Magpies in underneath the posts, and I'm sure Ray Warren will be cheering. His young son Chris playing very well for Western Suburbs in reserve grade this afternoon. He's the hooker, and he's battled his way into this side very, very well. So a try to Western Suburbs puts them back in the game. It's 18 points to 14 with a kick to come here. South Sydney 18, West 14. You're on 2GB's World of Football. Steve Jackson, of course, the hero of the grand final with that magnificent try last year, which is highlighted every time we look at last year's magnificent grand final. Here he is down on the sideline with Tony Peters.
Thanks, Peter. Well, Steve, you missed the game against Penrith last week. You're out again today. What's the problem?
Well, I've had a badly corked thigh. I done it the week before Manly, and I went into the Manly game with a bit of a suspect cork in the leg, and I got a hit again in the first half. And on the Monday night, she just blew up and it seized up, and I haven't got any movement in it at the moment. I've got about a 90-degree angle bend, and I wasn't really worried about the soreness of the injury. It's just the flexibility I've got in the leg. I haven't got enough.
Did you play against Manly with the injury in the hope that you'd make that State of Origin side?
Yeah, well, I was probably 80-90% fit for the Manly game. I was hoping not to get a hit in the place in the cork, and I did 10 minutes before half time. And apparently Arthur Beetson was here watching the game, watching for Martin Ballasform and Bobby Lindners, and they did have me in mind. So I did go out hoping for a big one and not to get hit in the thigh. Yeah.
Well, obviously your time's going to come. Speaking of Wednesday night, you're probably in a pretty good position to look at it from a Queenslander's point of view. We've heard from the coaches. How do you see the outcome on Wednesday night?
Well, I'm a Queenslander through and through, so it's going to be definitely a tough game because that City Country match, they showed a lot of ability there. They picked a good side, New South Wales. Queensland, the boys throw on that jersey and they play very good for that game, them Origin game. So I'm back in Queensland, yeah.
Steve, I've got to ask you the question. Does it discourage you, though, where you've played so well for Western Suburbs since you joined the Magpies, and you see guys that haven't been playing all that well getting picked because they tend to grow an extra leg when the maroon jumper gets pulled on their back, this sort of business?
Well, they've earned that. They've earned that reputation, so I'll just bide me time, and if my time does come and I get the chance, I've just got to make the most of it, and hopefully in a couple of years I'll be in that position.
Steve, today Western Suburbs are going to be doing it tough without you. You're an integral part of the pack, and so is Bobby Linder. So two of the real mainstays of the pack are missing today. That puts a lot of pressure on Cameron Blair, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it puts a lot of pressure on all the boys there, but they can do their job. Gary Wachowski comes in from injury. He's been out, I think, 4 weeks, Gary, so he'll be doing it very hard out there. But I think the game today, we've got to play South Sydney wide. Everyone's saying, will these young centres be able to handle it? I think they will be. Young Russell Wires, it's his only second game in first grade, but he's got an old head on his shoulders. He plays the game very good. And Jamie Ainscote, they both played together in under-21, so they know each other's game. And I think we've got to play South Sydney wide, yeah.
How have you found your new club? I mean, obviously you played with the Premiers last year, and as we've mentioned before, your grand final try has been featured everywhere. How have you found coming to a club like Western Suburbs from Canberra?
Well, it was a big difference because Canberra had a lot of blokes around the age of 27, 28, pretty experienced players, whereas Western Suburbs, I think I'm about the fifth eldest in the club, and I'm only 24. I say only 24, yeah, but that was a big change, but they accepted me. They just brought me into it because they were young fellas, and I found it really good. They made me feel at home, and I haven't looked backwards yet.
I believe you're also involved with rugby league off the field now?
Yeah, with me job. I'm assistant manager with the marketing promotions over at Western Suburbs. I like that because you're always thinking about football's always on your mind through the week. You're working with the football, and I really enjoy that job.
How much potential is in Campbelltown for Western Suburbs' future?
It's a gold mine, this place. Football, business, everything. It's just starting to build, and yeah, it is. It's a gold mine. It's very good.
Now, we've got all these youngsters, so obviously we know which way Western Suburbs are going to go into the 90s, and they need the hard heads like you and Henjack and company. It looks like a pretty good formula at the moment.
Yeah, we all stick together, and we'll build on that. We've just got to keep the same players on the field at the one time, get them used to playing with each other, and at the moment it's, well, Bobby with representative, and there is a few injuries in the club. We've got to get together and, well, that's it. We've got to get right together and help each other through this.
Is it frustrating, and it's probably the wrong term to use, but you tend to throw away games that you should basically win?
Well, last week I watched the game against Penrith. It's the first time I've watched it from the grandstand, and we looked so much the better side going that in the first 10 minutes we had Penrith down 8-0. We bombed a couple of tries, and well, that's our downfall at the moment. That's our Achilles heel, is that bombing tries. Say we bomb 4 tries, a good side should be able to capitalise and get at least 2 or 3 of them tries, and that's our downfall at the moment. We're not capitalising on it, on the things we should, and we should start scoring some of them tries.
Well, let's hope it's today. Thanks for talking to me. Back to you, Pete.
Thanks very much, Tony Peters. A very interesting interview with Steve Jackson there, and I must say that Steve, he'll handle that microphone very, very well, and he handles the game of rugby league very well too, and congratulations to him. A goodbye for Western Suburbs, 4th oldest in the club at 24 years of age, and that speaks wonders for them, Greg Hartley.
It sure does, Peter, and as you said, very, very confident behind a microphone, and equally as confident, Peter, when he's on the football field, isn't he?
He certainly is, and I've had a good look at young Chris Warren here, and I don't want to put any pressure on the kid, but, we've got a special interest in him because Rabbits, his dad, has just restarted his career in radio in Sydney with us at 2GB on his fabulous World of Sport program on Saturdays and Sundays, which is really taking Sydney by storm. The people talking about it and the feedback we're getting is fantastic, and it's good to see his son Chris, who I've known since he was a baby. He's a wonderful young kid, and I'm thrilled to see him out here today playing reserve grade football, and let's hope he can even go a step further into first grade, and that'll be a thrill to him and to his dad. And he, of course, was captain of Parramatta Morris Brothers when they won the Commonwealth Bank Cup a couple of years ago. So keep going, Chrissy. Good on you, son. And okay, a very warm welcome now to 2GB's World of Football to, the most experienced panellist in Sydney, Alan Clarkson. Clarko, should be a good one this afternoon, and your beloved Rabbits are in a lot of trouble.
They're in a lot of trouble, Pete. You just wonder what's happened to the place. I spoke to George Pickens last week, and he pointed out that quite a few players have gone. I mean, this time last year, Ian Roberts was playing for them, and this is when they gained a few points. But this year, everything's just blown up in their faces. And I really must raise a point, and I wonder whether an off-season stint in England is any good for players.
Yeah, we've also raised, and I heard George Pickens this morning on Ray Warren's show say that he never ever made a statement about not coaching the Rabbitohs next year.
Yes, he told me exactly the same thing.
And we'll make his mind up at the end of the season. Now, George has been tagged with that, and obviously that hasn't helped, and he's not too happy about it. But it'll be interesting to see how they go this afternoon. It's 18 points to 16 here in favour of Souths over Wests, and Wests have a shot at goal now from on the quarter and 10 metres in from the sideline, and it's Bronco Dura, a former South Sydney boy, trying to put it over. Call it, Holly.
Well, it's going to come in. It's going to come in. He's got it.
Right between the uprights.
Yeah,
18
and
points
he loved
all.
it too.
He would have loved it, Bronco. Too good a footballer to cast off, and he's certainly playing very well here this afternoon. It is 18 points all. Bronco Dura putting that one over for Western Suburbs, 18 all, and there are 20 minutes left for play in a very good game of football. At one time or another, most of us have experienced it, that horrible morning after the night before feeling. Now, there's a product that can help you feel better quickly, and it's called Hollywood's Hangover Helper. Hollywood's Hangover Helper offers fast release of headache and ache and pains associated with a hangover. Oh, the pain. Simply pour the contents of one sachet into a glass of water and let the pleasant tasting effervescent fizz go to work, Holly.
You're not wrong, Peter, and it does work because since I've tried the product, and I mean,
you've got to be the best. You've got to be the best workhorse for something.
I do get it.
You check all the hotels.
I do get out
rooms,
occasionally.
All the restaurants,
and so on. And I've been known to have a bit of a drink, but I tell you what, I've always looked for something like this. Never believed it could happen. Where do you get it? What do you mean, where do you get it?
Where do you buy it?
You can buy it in a lot of places around town,
selected
Peter.
chemists, bottle shops, service stations,
and
convenience stores, or wherever you see the Hangover Helper sign. If you get it from a garage, make sure you get the unleaded variety.
No, you got to. There's no unleaded variety. It's a super variety because it does a super job.
Okay,
but if the pain does persist, Peter, you've got to go and see your physician.
Oh, of course you do.
Okay.
Particularly if she's a female.
Exactly, Mundo.
South Sydney have scored almost near the uprights, and that gives them a lead of 22-18. Kick to come in an exciting reserve grade game. We'll take a break, come back with Rugby League preview, get Clarko's thoughts on the game, Warren Ryan's, Greg's, and Greg, of course, going for Western Suburbs. We'll see what Clarko, mock number 2, is going for today. We'll be back in a moment.
Behind a company's name, there's often a story of wide-ranging expertise and professional skill. O'Donnell Griffin, Australia's premier electrical and fire protection contractor, has to its credit involvement in a vast array of major projects throughout this country, from Darwin's Mindil Beach Casino to Ford's Geelong engine plant to the refit of HMAS Jarvis Bay. That's O'Donnell Griffin, the performance, service and complete capability your company needs.
Book into Panthers Oasis Las Vegas stopover. Overnight accommodation and breakfast for 2 at Panthers Motor Inn and dinner and show in the theatre restaurant for just $149 a couple.
We've got more than you might think. Panthers, Panthers.
Mulgar Road, Penrith. No other resort does it better.
World of Entertainment.
2GB's World of Football, giving you the full rugby league story.
There is a place you can really score a fantastic new or used car bargain. That's Auto Village Holden, Cabramatta. See Auto Village Holden for the entire Holden range, including the gutsy V8 Commodores, Nova, Apollo and Rodeo, the most powerful commercial vehicle in its class. All backed by exceptional service and spare parts. Auto Village Holden, the biggest used car Holden dealer in Sydney and your key to quality. They're the winning team at 266 Hume Highway, Cabramatta.
And it's quarter time in the AFL in 4 of the 5 games being played down there. Out at Waverley, a boomer of a start to the Footscray Bulldogs. They lead by 6 goals. It's Footscray 7 goals, 143 at quarter time, leading Fitzroy 1-1-7. Down at Moorabbin, and Hawthorn hold a 7-point lead over the Saints. Hawthorn 5-3-33 against St Kilda 4-2-26. At Princes Park, North Melbourne just by 11 points, 4-6-30. They lead Carlton 3-1-19. At Cardinia Park, Geelong Cats 25 points in the lead, 7 goals to 44, lead Brisbane 3-1-19. At the MCG, still in progress in front of 65,000 people, just about a minute to go, but Collingwood have taken the lead. They are 3 goals, 19 points, leading Essendon 2-3-15. AFL Premiership footy on 2GB's World of Football.
On 2GB News Talk 873, Samsung and O'Donnell Griffin bring you Football Preview. Here's Peter Peters.
Welcome back to Campbelltown Sports Stadium. South Sydney with their nose in front by 24 points to 18 in a high-scoring reserve grade game. There are 15 minutes left for play. West won the under-21s this afternoon. And right now, Samsung and O'Donnell Griffin bring you Rugby League preview. How do you see it, Warren Ryan?
Well, I'm going to go for an upset. I'm going for South Sydney, not by much. I don't think there'll be much in this game. South have got to find some form, and we keep waiting, and maybe today they'll get up and have a win. I don't think there'll be much in the forwards. I just think that the South backs, spearheaded by Phil Blake, who's playing at halfback, I've got great hopes that we'll see, the old form of Phil Blake re-emerge today. And if it does, I think South will get home on his efforts, because he's certainly a match winner.
He certainly is. Just breaking in, Warren.
Another match winner, that one.
Yeah.
Danny Peacock.
Danny Peacock, a beautiful try for West.
For you.
Underneath, you're becoming a veteran. And this kick that come right underneath the upright should make it 24-all. Fabulous game. And certainly the fans here. Not a bad crowd either, Saturday football at Arana at Zorba, Campbelltown Sports Stadium. And this shot at goal right in front for Graham Mackay should level it up again 24-all. Go on, Warren.
Well, I'm just of the opinion that, Phil Blake's got the ability at halfback to just, set the game on alight and really make the difference between the two sides. I can't say a lot about the three-quarter line of the west side because I haven't seen those two centres go round.
You'll be very impressed with Wire, I can assure you of that. He's big and tall and a very strong young player, and you've already seen Jason Taylor.
Yeah, I like Jason Taylor. He's a real classy little player at 5'8".
I haven't seen Ainscoe before, but I have seen Wire on tape, and he can play. 2 tries in his debut.
Yeah, well, I suppose that says something. I think it'll be a pretty tough battle in the forwards. I don't think there'll be much in it in the forwards, and you're really looking at the two sides and saying who's going to be the match winner in the sides. And I can see Phil Blake, possibly Manoa Thompson there for South Sydney, and Charlie Saab. I think Charlie Saab from fullback will come in. He'll probably play extra 5'8". I couldn't see Charlie chiming in way out in the three-quarter line. Well, I think he'll be more or less making an extra 5'8". I think that's where he's best suited to play. But, Ivan Henjak, Jason Taylor, they've got plenty of organisational ability. If these two centres can play as well as we've been given to believe they can, well, there mightn't be much in it there. But I'll just go for South, I think, on a Phil Blake, Charlie Saab effort.
Okay, 24 points all here in reserve grade, West and South Sydney in a beaut game of football. Alan Clarkson, how do you see it this afternoon?
Well, as much as it pains me to say it, I think Western Suburbs will win it today. Although originally when I made the selection, Jackson and Britt were in the side. Now they're out, but they're fairly experienced players that have come in to replace them. Souths are not playing well. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You can't say one thing and mean another. I mean, they are not playing well. They're playing very, very badly. Perhaps Mark Carroll has been one of the players in the forwards that's been kept on going all the time. He's made a few selection changes. Of course, Charlie Saab at fullback, as Warren mentioned. I don't know whether he's the answer to a maiden's prayer there. Mark Ellison at 5'8", well, he's played there before. But Steve Maven shift into lock forward. That's a rather interesting one. But I think that the Western Suburbs pack is more balanced, and like Warren, I'm very, very keen to see Wire, Ainscough and Taylor in action. All that I've seen has been on tape, and like you, Pete, I've been very, very, very impressed with them. As a matter of fact, I was talking to an official today who believes that Taylor is probably one of the outstanding young players, and probably the most outstanding young player in the City Premiership, which is a big rap when you consider some of the quality young players going around. So obviously I'm very keen to have a look at him. I think Western Suburbs will sneak away with it today.
Okay, Hollywood, Greg Hartley, the Saturday mock, and it's almost foolproof when you and Clarko go the same way, and that's happening today.
It is happening today for the same reasons Clarko summed up. I think their pack is a little more stable, even considering you've lost those two players, very experienced players. But Gallagher going into that second row to pack down with Cameron Blair, and Gary Bukowski going into the front row to partner Pat O'Doherty and Flanagan. I think they're a very formidable outfit. I liken the back lines, much inexperienced, Peter, except for maybe Saab, as you pointed out, has played a grand final. Western Suburbs, another try in reserve grade, and they're getting away with the bunnies.
Michael Gould in underneath the posts, and brilliant bit of football there, and Rabbits Warren will be cheering because young Chris Warren was deeply involved in that with a beautiful pass to send the player through the gap. It's Western Suburbs 28, leads South Sydney 24 in a good game of football here at Campbelltown Sports Centre. Kick to come right underneath under the sticks now for Graham Mackay.
I think Ivan Henjack and the experience that fellow's got, he's found a home here. He said that on the Ray Warren program this morning. He likes the place. The experience of Henjack outside of Jason Taylor is going to be a plus for him. The speed that young Wire's got, Ainscough has got, and of course Wayne Simmons, Peter, he's been getting plenty of raps out here. He's done everything right since he joined Western Suburbs. Not much in it, Peter, but I'm leaning Westway. They have this home ground advantage, and again, you pointed out a very good crowd, and certainly a Western Suburbs crowd. They should take the day.
Okay, and here's this kick right underneath the uprights now for West to lead 30-24, and what a comeback by Western Suburbs. There it is, right between the uprights, and the Magpies 30 lead South Sydney 24. And whether you're a tradesman or just someone who likes to do a little work around the house, if you want to get the job done properly, you're going to need the right gear, and the right gear is Makita from Mitre 10. Combine Makita, Australia's biggest suppliers of power tools, with Mitre 10, Australia's biggest hardware specialist, and you'll find that they have the equipment to make any job easier. Makita is at the forefront of power tool technology and is constantly developing new and better products. Mitre 10, Australia's largest hardware chain, is big on advice and service. Makita Power Tools. See your Mitre 10 stockist now. Ask Mitre 10 about Makita and Mitre 10. Now, that's a great team.
Yeah, another great team too, Peter, as we've been saying, and you can be a winner with Samsung appliances from Bing-Lee. Now, you not only win tickets for the football, but you win with low prices. Now, they've got a Samsung video recorder with an LCD remote control. That means you can program your video from your armchair. It's only $499. And again, if you tell them that Hollywood and Silver sent you, they'll give you three Samsung 3-hour videotapes absolutely free. The family passes again to the Friday or the Saturday game in the Winfield Cup, and then you'll go into that fabulous draw, all expenses paid trip to Brisbane for the Length Park State of Origin. You heard the two coaches in here today. It's going to be a sensational clash up there. The way to get there, go to Bing-Lee, buy the Samsung products, and remember, Mother's Day is coming up, so there's no excuse for you big fellas with long pockets. Get in there.
Yes, and talking about Mother's Day, Sydney's premier seafood restaurant, Harpoon Harry's, is open for Mother's Day lunch. So that's tomorrow week, and if your mother is a lover of seafood, you take her to Harpoon Harry's, and I promise you, you won't have had a better seafood meal. It's just the best in Sydney by far. The head waiter, George, will look after your treat. Harry and Kathy Saltis will be there to look after your every need, and the best chef that I know in Sydney on seafood, Fernando, will be there to look after you, and it really is the best seafood restaurant in Sydney. And it's Harpoon Harry's, and Harpoon Harry's is open on Mother's Day for lunch. It's situated in the Macquarie Hotel in Wentworth Avenue in the city, and it is a delight to go to. Okay, there are still 7 minutes remaining in reserve grade. It's 30 points to 24 in favour of West over Souths. I go for South Sydney today. I think that South Sydney this afternoon can show that magnificent club spirit that they're renowned for. And it's been a traumatic year for them in the opening 2 months of the Premiership. Just one win they've got to show for it. And today they're going to have to really pull out all stops. West at Campbelltown are a very difficult side to beat. It won't be easy, but like Warren Ryan, I feel as though they've just got a couple of players that can swing a game for them. Western Suburbs love to throw it around, and whilst they're doing that, they can make mistakes. And Souths have got the players in Blake and Ellison and Charlie Saab and Mario Fennick to capitalise on those mistakes. So I'm going for South Sydney to win. Neil Armand's the referee, and it should be a terrific game of football. We're going to take a break and then come back and take those callers on the open line of 269 0669.
There are companies whose preeminence in their professional field doesn't always demand a high profile, which is why you may not know the name O'Donnell Griffin, even if you've enjoyed the benefits of their expertise. O'Donnell Griffin is Australia's premier electrical and fire protection contractor. Founded in 1904 and now employing over 2,500 people throughout Australia and Southeast Asia. That's O'Donnell Griffin, the performance, service and complete capability your company needs.
2GB's World of Football. Rugby League's leading edge.
I've been researching the facts, and the clinical tests prove there isn't a pain reliever more gentle to the stomach than Panadol. Panadol from Winthrop has pure paracetamol, so Panadol provides effective relief from headache, pain and fever, and you know you can trust it, in tablet, capsule and liquid form for children. But remember, always use Panadol only as directed, and please see your doctor if pain persists.
Sunday nights following 2GB's World of Football. Your weekend of entertainment continues with Bailey's Backtrack.
Hard to get you into my life.
Remember the stomp, the twist, the shake? What about Johnny O'Keefe, the Beatles, Elvis? Well, they're all there.
Bailey's Backtrack for news, trivia, and of course your favourite songs from the 50s, 60s and 70s.
A cat named Hercules.
Bailey's Backtrack, 6 o'clock Sunday nights, only on 2GB News Talk 873.
Time for an AFL update, and we're in the second quarter of the 5 matches being played in Melbourne. Progress scores around the ground at the MCG. Collingwood was still with a 5-point lead. They're 3-2-20, leading Essendon 2-3-15. At Waverley, Footscray 7-1-43 in front of Fitzroy, 1 goal, 9 points. Down at Moorabbin, Hawthorn 6-6-42 in front of St Kilda 4-3-27. At Princes Park, a quarter-time score there. North Melbourne 4-6-30 lead Carlton 3-1-19. Finally, down at Cardinia Park, Geelong 7-2-44 lead the battling Brisbane Bears 3-1-19. AFL Premiership footy on 2GB's World of Football.
This is Football Preview, brought to you by Samsung and O'Donnell Griffin. Here's Zorba.
Welcome back to the Campbelltown Sports Stadium. Gee, the fans have been being treated to a magnificent game in reserve grade. Warren Ryan, the pace has been a cracker. The defence has really opened right up now, and we've seen, 9 tries in this game. West 30 lead Souths 24.
Yeah, Peter, I think that it's been such a high-speed game that the defences have virtually flexed off, and whoever's got the footballs, it's try time, and it's a very high-scoring game. And even though, there's 4 minutes on the clock, if Souths get this ball, it's quite feasible they could turn it into a draw. It's anything could happen from here on. It could be another try to West, or if Souths get the break, it could be one for them.
Yeah, certainly been an excellent game of football, and the crowd around about 7,000 here at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. A couple of callers still waiting on the line. We'll take those now, and thanks for waiting on. Good afternoon.
Hello, Peter.
Yes, sir.
I've read in some magazines and newspapers that the Kangaroo touring side will be chosen on Grand Final Eve.
That's right. No, Grand Final night. Not on Grand Final Eve.
Oh, right, so it's after the Grand Final.
Yes, certainly is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, it will be chosen on Grand Final night, as it always is, and the Kangaroos leave for Manchester in England on the 30th of September, and they play their first game, I think, on the 6th or 7th of October against St Helens. It's the next Sunday anyway, a week after the Grand Final. They play St Helens, and it is it's a big moment for St Helens. I think it's the 150th anniversary of the club or something like that. Anyway, it's a great moment for them. 269 0669. Good afternoon. Hello. Yes. Yes, sir.
Peter?
Yeah.
I just want to know what's the chance of Manly signing Kevin Iro?
Well, I know they're looking at it very closely. I just don't know whether there's any money in the tin tank left. If they sign Iro, I would imagine they would be very close or over their ceiling cap. And I know they've spoken to him. He's very good friends with Graham Lowe, who coached him at Wigan. And, of course, his brother Tony is, I think, proving a tremendous buy for them. And, well, I'd love to have him.
And another thing, how do you think Jeff Tuvey will handle State of Origin football?
I think the young fellow can handle it any way that it's dished up. He's a brilliant little performer. He marked Langer at Lang Park a couple of weeks ago, and I think he shaded him. And if you play week in, week out in first-grade football, you wouldn't have any worries with State of Origin. But I'll put that question to the panel. Warren Ryan, Tuvey, would he be overawed in State of Origin?
I don't think so. I think, we mentioned a little earlier, or Arthur Beetson particularly mentioned the fact that it's a step up. It's probably even tougher than Test matches these days. But he's right up with the best, in Winfield Cup calculations. So there's no reason in the world why he couldn't take a step up in class. He surprises me, actually, Peter. I've mentioned before on your program how strong he is. I've seen him pick very big players up and just pick them up and dump them. He's incredibly strong for his size. And
He's got technique in his tackling too.
Yeah, and his speed. I mean, that gets you out of a lot of strife. Doesn't matter how big you are if you've got that evasive quality and that speed, and he's got plenty of that.
Certainly has, Clarko.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Warren has said. I was out at the training yesterday, and I was particularly interested to see the way that Jack slotted the reserves in and gave them a session, or part of a session, I should say, working the moves, and as if Tuvey's going to be the halfback, well, he's going to be all settled in.
Yeah.
He's a very, very confident player, Pete, as you know better than I. He's confident without being a big head.
Yeah.
If you could understand what I'm saying.
Well, he's the Manly halfback because they wanted an organiser, and he will open himself up more.
I think if a halfback's a shy, retiring Violet, you don't want him.
No, that's right.
Halves have got to be confident, cocky little blokes. So I think there's got to be that element of confidence in them, otherwise they're no good to you.
Well, that's right. Well, I thought that he shaded Langer by a fairly wide margin the last time they played. I thought he was much.
You think of all the great halfbacks that Australia's had, the Billy Smiths and the characteristics, the Tommy Raudonikis and the characteristics they exhibited, they were all tough and confident and cocky, weren't they?
Yep. Certainly
all
have
those
been.
blokes.
Yeah. They certainly have been. Okay, so we all think that he'll handle it if he gets the opportunities. Only that should be just about time up here at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. South still throwing the ball around and trying desperately, but the changeover of possession now is on with a knock-on and a scrum, and it'll be Western Suburbs winning this game. There's a changeover, and they'll hang on to it for the final moments here and run out winners by 30 points to 24 in a very good game of football at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. Okay, so let's just have a few moments to discuss tomorrow's games in the Winfield Cup, and I must say I'm very disappointed at the standard of game that has been thrown up to the public. There's full-time now in reserve grade. I think there should have been one more feature game tomorrow. Norths play Gold Coast tomorrow, and North Sydney's form excellent, and the Gold Coast are really struggling, aren't they?
Sure. And they've lost Ron Gibbs too, as we mentioned earlier, and who the replacement will be, McCarthy will decide later on. But it's not really a match that grabs everyone, although Norths are saying, we expect a very, very tough game. But I don't think it probably will be a tough game, but I can't see them losing, personally.